Where do old aeroplanes go when the time comes to retire them from the sky? Almost 1 in 10 of them are flown to E-Cube Solutions in Wales, one of the world's fastest growing facilities for the recycling and stripping out of old aircraft.
Whatever the customer wants, we'll take off.
Every year, around 60 commercial airliners land at the company's designated airbase, and the lads just can't wait to get their hands on them.
All these planes, and you just get to play with the biggest toy set in the world.
This squadron of high-vis heroes love to get their hands dirty and fly in the face of whatever problems are thrown at them.
Yeah, there's pressure. We cope with it, we thrive on it.
They join forces to take these old airliners to pieces so their thousands of mechanical components can be sold on to satisfy the growing global demand for refurbished plane parts.
Let's get them off the aircraft.
But it's a race against the clock to take these multi-million-pound planes to pieces before they reach their final destination, the scrapyard.
All these are ready to go now, so we're going to have the demolition boys are going to be coming in and they're going to start smashing them up.
Join the lads as they battle hostile weather and get to grips with massive machinery.
I see them go down smoother, put it that way.
All to meet deadlines set by bullish buyers.
Money's time, time is money. And we're not talking peanuts here, we're talking millions.
Welcome to the world of the plane reclaimers.
So, good job then.
Yeah.
It's all systems go at E-Cube today. Tools have been downed on the scrapyard because the take-out and tear-down lads are all out on the airfield. Sam and the gang are moving planes around left, right and centre to make way for a very special guest.
We've got 747 landing today, so biggest problem with them is the size of them. You get them on the ground, they're really massive, like, so trying to manoeuvre it around in their area is an absolute nightmare.
A jumbo jet weighing in at almost 300 tonnes fully fuelled is truly a colossus of the skies. The one en route to the base is making her final flight after just dropping off 500 passengers at Heathrow, who only 12 hours ago boarded her in Thailand. But the fact she's about to be retired doesn't mean she's no longer fit for service. Quite the opposite. Her owner has decided that she's more valuable for her serviceable parts. By reusing them as spares within their own fleet of aircraft, they can save tens of millions of dollars in maintenance charges. They calculate this is more than she can earn by continuing to carry paying passengers. But the plane's arrival at base is looking in doubt, thanks to the unwelcoming Welsh weather.
This is so typical of South in this weather. You can't predict it here. One day you got a nice sunny day, and the day you're going to be busy outside, you get weather like this, chucking it down with rain.
The rain might be stopping the boys from putting the bunting out, but it's not stopping Bob from rolling the red carpet out, or as near as you can get to one on an airfield.
Got a Boeing 747-700. I'm going to help out. I'll drive the tug today. We'll drive out onto the runway and pick him up and tow him back.
Large planes like the jumbo jet are picked up from the end of the runway and towed into their parking position, because it's not usually possible for the pilot to cruise the plane right up to the parking lot.
E-Cube tug positioned at Echo 3, awaiting instruction.
E-Cube tug, proceed to holding point Echo 1.
E-Cube tug proceeding to holding point Echo 1.
Bob is on the ball, but is Mac listening?
You noted all this?
I've taken out of the last time, yeah, you got it.
Riding shotgun with Bob, this is the first time Mac has got up close and personal with a 747. St Athens is a fully operational airbase, with every coming and going of aircraft monitored by the on-site air traffic control tower. And over in the tower, air traffic controller James is worried about poor visibility that might put the jumbo's arrival in doubt.
The weather conditions at the moment are not great, so we are giving 3,000 metres visibility in slight rain, with cloud broken at 500 feet and then broken again at 1,300 feet, which isn't ideal for this aircraft's arrival, so he's going to have to use the instrument landing system, and we'll see if we can get him on the ground here.
The Welsh weather means he can hardly see your hand in front of your face, and Bob's starting to get edgy.
E-Cube tug positioned at Alpha 1.
With the tower, roger, thank you.
It's going to be a tense wait to find out if the plane can land. And you don't want to keep a jumbo waiting.
Funny, the weather doesn't look too good. Looks a bit murky over there. We'll know if he's coming in, because the lights will go red.
A no-show could lead to a big bill for the airline company.
If one doesn't land, it's not so much a problem for us, but it's a problem for the aircraft owner, because they've had to pay for the fuel. And if it diverts to, say, the Cardiff airport, they'll have to pay all the landing fees and then pay for it to take off again the following morning.
Over in the tower, all eyes are on the jumbo's progress, but the treacherous weather is making for slow going.
It's coming from Heathrow, this one. So it's a 21-minute flight time, according to the flight plan.
Back in the flatbed, the lads are still playing the waiting game, but Mac has all the latest updates at his fingertips.
Just over Bristol.
Yeah, about 5 or 10 minutes.
As the rain continues to pour, Bob's hopes rise when he spies a brightening on the horizon.
It is clearing a bit over there.
Thanks to the trees more now.
Yeah.
Finally, the tower receives the news they've been waiting for. The jumbo pilot is going to attempt to bring her down. Cue the landing lights in preparation to welcome their latest guest.
I can see him.
As though sent by heaven, the jumbo makes a sudden appearance and breaks through the dense cloud.
See the lights? Yeah. Big old beast. I doubt if you'll slam the brakes on.
Against all the odds, the captain has battled through bad weather and exceptionally low cloud cover to bring the plane in on time. But the runway is like a skid pan, so all eyes are on the touchdown.
Touchdown.
Looking good so far.
And the touchdown is a beauty.
I've now actually seen a 747 land at St. Athan before, so it was quite exciting to see.
If he hasn't landed, I'll be worried. He has. Excellent. Cheers. Cheers. Bye.
And as the plane cruises into vision, a noticeably relieved Bob manages to turn his frown around.
As predicted.
As Bob and Max stand by to turn the massive plane around, the pilot stuns them by pulling a truly balletic move and spinning the huge plane around himself, putting the boys out of a job in the process. And at air traffic control, whilst James has seen many planes land from the tower, a jumbo touching down is always a spectacle.
And Boeing 747, it's always good to see. Certainly if it's landing on the far end on runway 25 facing this way, then obviously it's quite a long way away. But if it's landing on runway 07 on the opposite runway, when it comes past the window, it looks awfully big in the window.
E-Cube tug requests permission to cross the runway from Foxtrot to Echo.
Bob and Mac head over to the plane, but they're more of a welcoming party than a workhorse now, as the captain's already done the donkey work for them.
He made the early turn off, so we're a bit redundant today.
It's always a special and sad day when you see a 747 being decommissioned, because the production of them is winding down and they're being overtaken by more modern designs.
They take them out of service and then replace them with their A380s and Dreamliners, things like that, then they are becoming rarer. But yeah, it's not the last 747 in operation. We may get some over the next year, next couple of years. Who knows?
Looks like the engines have stopped.
For most of the lads that work at E-Cube, a big reason they love the job isn't just getting to work on the planes, it's meeting the people who fly them in.
The most enjoyable bit is working out on the flight line with live aircraft, obviously, because day to day you're seeing people, you're meeting air crews. Do you want me to do it, or are you okay?
Bob and his fellow airmen get quite emotional when they see a plane being retired.
He's stepping on the aircraft after his final flight, normally. How's that? Stop. And you get some of the crews, they're a little bit tearful about it, some laugh and joke. Afternoon.
How are you?
Oh, very good. Others are quite down, to be honest. I know what they're feeling, you know.
And working on aircraft was a childhood dream come true for Bob.
It's something I've always wanted since being a kid, really. So I've always liked aircraft, and I've always been mechanically minded and liked solving problems. And aircraft are the great thing for that, you know.
The Jumbo is now ready for the strip down to commence and her parts to be sold on. Hundreds of reusable components worth tens of millions of dollars. As the sun rises over the airbase, it's been a sleepless night for technical team leader Sam. The jumbo jet has been looming large in his thoughts. Somehow, he's got to get this monster towed down to the lot where he's made a parking space.
All right, we're just going to move this up by the hangar. Something a little bit different to move around, a little bit bigger. Have a little bits about us for this one. Just runny nose and a bit of a chill. I'll be in there in a nice heated cab. These boys will be getting cold.
The plane's been powered down, so to move it, they have to unlock the wheels manually and tow the dead weight.
With this link undone, I can get a tighter turn on the nose leg, so we can go around the corners and that. But with it hanging down like this, it'll foul on the tyres. So this needs a bit of rope just to tie it up there, tie around the top of the linkage there, just to keep it out of the way.
Technician Khalil is on hand with the rope, but he's been rummaging for it somewhere he shouldn't.
Is that out of my toolbox? Okay.
The jumbo weighs over 275 tons, meaning Sam and his little tug have a battle on their hands. It's slow going, but the stately pace of the procession offers an opportunity to take one final good look at this magnificent aeroplane. Introduced in the 70s, the 747 was a true trailblazer that heralded a new dawn in the world of aviation. After 50 years of loyal service, the final fleets of jumbos are slowly being retired. But Sam hasn't got time to get tearful. He needs to get back to the task in hand, manoeuvring this big beauty into a parking spot. This is a precision job. One false move could damage the landing gear's axle and leave the crew with a very costly problem.
That corner's the worst bit. It's getting around there, it's quite tight. It's quite narrow as well. And next bit's probably a bit awkward because it starts going downhill, so the aircraft will start pushing me rather than me pulling the aircraft. Without causing any issues or accidents, you've got to get it done as quick as you can and as safely as you can. And then you've got to think about leaving enough room for access, for ladders around the aircraft to get into the cabin. So you've got to take into account when you're doing the moves and that.
The taxiway that Sam has to crawl along with the great big bird on his back is over 100 metres long. It's truly been a Sam versus Goliath-like struggle every inch of the way. But as the camber on the runway evens out, Sam is finally able to cruise into the parking lot with a sigh of relief.
We've arrived. We'll leave it here. All 4 engines are over the tarmac concrete, so they can get round them all. So we should be good here.
The glistening engines now await the go-ahead, so they can be removed and then shipped back to their owner, so they can be used as a spare part on another aircraft.
So it's all chopped up now. We're going to get the tractor off. And then it's another mad day. A load of defueling and doing stuff like that, getting aircraft ready for teardown. So it's going to be a busy day for me today. And I'm going early.
As the jumbo sits at the end of the runway, feeling more than a little sorry for herself, the tankers move in to empty her of her fuel.
With these things on the ground, every sort of minute they're down here, it's costing money for someone. So what we need to do is get them defueled as quick as possible. Amount of fuel on here, we've got about 10 tonne of fuel to come off this. Imagine how long that's going to keep your car going, yeah, and your families. It's be great, wouldn't it?
This is one of the most hazardous jobs that can be carried out on the airbase. The fuel is highly combustible. If left in the tanks, a spark from the power tools used to tear the aircraft apart could start a major blaze. But to open the fuel gate requires power. And as the plane's been shut down for the final time, the only way to switch the communication board on is by plugging in a generator.
Boom. So we don't need to turn the battery on. Comedy noises.
The old jumbo sounds like the Millennium Falcon heading into an asteroid belt. But Mac doesn't look too perturbed.
So Bob is full of knowledge from RAF background to working on general aircraft, so it's nice to be one of the ones who can absorb that information from him. And yeah, I enjoy working with him. He is a good teacher.
But it's not just Mac who's on a learning curve here. It's all of the lads, including seasoned airman Sam.
But this one is a big learning curve for all of us, because I've never done a defuel one of these before.
Because they had to hire in some specialist tankers for defueling the Jumbo, they've come with their own kit. And Sam spotted something he's really not too happy about. The size of the hose.
Through that? Oh my...
The hose we use is about that bore. Yeah, it's the size of this one. We're going to be here forever. Could be a day's work, this.
Sam and the gang know that this smaller hose will see the job take almost 5 times longer to do, which means there's a knock-on effect to the countless other tasks they need to crack on with. But not only is the hose not wide enough, it's not long enough to reach the tanker on the ground. The suggestion to steady the pipe by hand is instantly dismissed by Bob.
You can't just pour it in.
No, I'm saying through the pipe.
We're going through the pipe, straight to the top of the tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happens if there's static or a spark or anything like that? You can't defuel an aircraft like that.
I mean, we're Earth.
Yeah, why not?
The whole idea of defueling an aircraft is everything's closed. You could also have a major spillage.
No, just leave it there then.
Yeah, please. Let's try that first.
Ever concerned about safety, Bob will not allow any attempt to use a hose which does not connect with a flush seal between the fuel tank and the tanker on the ground.
We're all connected up now to the Bowser. So Bob's gone upstairs now, turn the aircraft pumps on, which will start pumping fuel out.
A suitable sized pipe is located and it's the perfect fit, meaning the lads can get on with the job in hand. But just as it looks like everything's working, a concerned-looking Bob re-emerges from the cockpit. The pumps seem to be pumping, but the fuel gauge in the plane is showing the tanks are not emptying.
It's gone up.
I mean, but this produce coming out because it's got plenty of gravity.
Yeah.
For all their many years of experience on the job, the problem is causing the lads to scratch their heads.
So you've got to flick some more switches upstairs now.
The worry is now it could be part of an even bigger problem that will cause them to lose more valuable time. Over in the office, requests for spare parts are coming in thick and fast from eager buyers all over the world. And Phil has just received an order that the aircraft's owner is happy to sell on to a client in Estonia. But what could it be?
At the moment, they're looking for an evacuation slide from a 747, the jumbo jet. That's not something that we get very often, but we've got one here at the moment, so we can take a look at that and get it off for them. I look forward to the email, and if I've got any questions, I'll give you a call back.
Magnetic MRO in Estonia quality check and refurbish used airplane parts. They've had a request in from a client in India for a Boeing 747 evacuation slide, and they need it right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Phil might have his order, but the taking out of spare parts can't begin whilst the plane is a no-go zone because of the safety hazard caused by the defueling.
They want it straight away, so that's probably something we better get on with straight away as well.
And back out on the yard, the defueling of the Jumbo is still causing major problems.
We're having trouble getting our fuel out of the wings for some reason, whether it's the Bowser or the aircraft. It's just not flowing out. Slows us down quite a bit because obviously 10 ton is quite a lot of fuel, so yeah, we've got to try and find a solution that's pretty quick, really.
We've got a bit of an issue at the moment. Don't know what's going on with it. Pump's not pumping. I don't know. Nobody else here seems to know, so we've got Bob up on board and he's flicking switches. He'll find it. He's a demon at that.
And proving that Bob really is flick-switching good, in the cockpit, Matt becomes the bearer of good news.
Oh, I think it's working. It's just dropped 100 kilos. Yeah, I think it's done. Quite the relief. Seems to be slowly draining out, which is a good sign. It's just going to take a while to finish the rest now. It's all dead. It's done. It's dropping.
Dropping, yeah, should be working now.
The fuel will now be sent off for processing to be used in home heating systems.
All right, going down, is it?
All good, it's all happening.
Bob may be relieved, but there's no time to celebrate. The fuel tanks may be empty, but it's straight on to the next job. crawling inside them to go precious metal prospecting. Each fuel tank in a jumbo is the size of a bus, and there are 11 of them. A scavenge and a strip out of a single tank can bring in a haul of several thousands of dollars. It's a one-man job that requires some special skills, and those skills belong to fuel tank scavenger extraordinaire, Mohammed, or MD.
I love to work in the fuel tank. You have to take light, and you have to be, must be safety man outside all the time. Safety man should be with you, otherwise, like, if something is happened. If safety man is with you, like, he can tell someone and he can help you.
It doesn't sit in there.
Each of them is filled with valuable precision-engineered pipes and micro-processing pumps, which are amongst the most valuable small parts on the aircraft. Mohammed has to wear a filtered breathing mask to ensure he does not inhale any residual toxic fumes. A lung full of those could leave you fighting for breath and your life.
They're out.
Okay. This is the dangerous is you can't take your mobile phone, and you have to be wearing your mask all the time, and you have to come outside like every 15 minutes and taking rest outside, then you will come back again. Like one of my colleagues, he told me like I can go inside, but I'm scared to how do I get it out. So I said, okay, if you don't know, like, then stop it. And nobody can force you, like, you have to work in the fuel tank.
Wait there, I need an Allen key now.
Use a 3-8 socket.
Time really is of the essence here. MD is doing a fine job of stripping out the bits and pieces on his shopping list, but he can't hang around.
That's it.
This is the pipe. I just took it from here. So I need to take the component off. So this is the pipe weight.
Each one of those pipes is worth hundreds of dollars each. So you can see why this isn't scrap metal.
So that's why I'm taking the pipes off.
Are you coming off?
Yeah, I'm coming now.
Half home. MD wants to get on the
MD
tank.
is used to working fast under these hostile conditions, which is why he's the go-to man for the job on the base.
My team leader came to me and he told me, like, can you carry on the fuel tank? And I can't say no. I said, yeah, I can carry on. Then when I go in for my break, and everyone smell like fuel, and everyone like, oh, who's in the fuel tank? And I said, yeah, it's me.
And it's a job well done. MD's haul today will be worth several thousands of dollars to the plane's owner. As the jumbo teardown gets going, some very special visitors have come to pay their last respects.
Hi, I'm Chris Gedling, and I was cabin staff for 38 years and finished in 2005.
Oh, cup of tea, please, Chris.
Tea.
My name's Keith Parker. I joined the airline to see the world for a couple of years and ended up doing 36 years. And most of that time was on the jumbo jet.
And I'm Rosalind Gedling, and I worked for 10 years between 1970 and 1980.
My name is Fiona Nutt, and I was cabin crew from 1986 to 2004. It was an amazing job. I absolutely loved it.
Anybody who's ever served on a jumbo jet will never forget the first moment they laid eyes on this great lady of the sky.
I can remember going to Heathrow and just seeing that big bulbous nose, and I just thought it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, and everyone felt the same way. It was the aircraft.
It was such a massive, unbelievable flying machine that people were just in awe of it. The crews were in awe of it. The passengers were in awe of it.
And when the 747 arrived, it was new and sure. Because you were joining something new, you thought this was good.
I can remember my cousins in their back garden, they were saying, well, exactly how long is it? And I paced it out down their garden.
That was a lot of pacing, Keith. 231 feet worth, in fact.
There's a plane that big flying. I said, yeah. And the weight, you know, the fuel weight, it's just incredible how it ever gets off the deck, you know. Unbelievable.
The troublesome Welsh weather has broken, and the base is basking in glorious sunshine. The evacuation slide that Marcus from Estonia is after is one bit of a plane you never want to have to use. But there's no escaping how much fun it looks when it gets blown up.
Basically, the door would open, it'd still be attached to the door of the slide would. So that would set the mechanism off. The bottles power and impellers to inflate the rafts really fastly, and it's inflated within 5–10 seconds.
The clients in Estonia need this slide so they can test it, refurbish it, and get it on a new plane. So the pressure's on to get this one carefully removed and rapidly shipped out.
This is the first time doing an upper deck slide, so it's something new again.
Great care has to be taken when removing the slide in case of accidental inflation.
It's not quite a voyage of discovery because we do have the maintenance manual printouts to follow, so we know what we're doing roughly, but we've got a backup just to make sure we don't do anything drastically wrong with it. Make sure we don't set the slide off.
If it did inflate, it could render the slide unfit for use. And with a price tag of around $40,000, that's a costly error to make.
If it went off, we'd have to go away for repackaging. And that would obviously cost the customer money, so if we can get it off in one piece, it saves them money in the long run.
But the lads have hit a problem. The holding bolts for the slide can only be reached from outside.
Yeah, to get to those bolts, we're going to need a lift, so we'll try and organise one and get it sorted.
The double-decker scissor lift will provide the lads with the platform they need to get the job done.
I'm not worried about the slide going off. We do have the safety pins fitted already. It's just the height we're going to be working at and the weight of the raft itself. So, see what happens.
After a quick check of the manual, the lads start removing the holding pins. But you need a head for heights on this job.
Not too bad working at height. In this game, you have to be.
Getting to the bolts is proving to be a bit of a fiddle, but they're successfully unlocked. The problem now shifts to moving the evacuation slide. Despite being something that's ultimately filled with air, because of all the mechanics and pressurised canisters, it's a fair old weight.
Get some extra hands around it, the more the merrier.
It proves to be a four-man job to get it off.
We've got an extra two, one inside and one outside, so hopefully if all goes to plan, we'll have it off in a few minutes.
Hard to believe that this is hiding inside a plain door. So sleek is the door design and so well hidden the slide. But seeing it pulled out is a sobering reminder of why it's there and why we would all use it.
I think you had to. If you had to use it, you'd go straight down it. I wouldn't want to be stuck on one of these if it was on fire and there was a chance to get off it.
Like everything on an aeroplane, thousands of hours of precision engineering have gone into the slide's design and development.
It's a long way out, but the slides do come out at a good angle, and they have got like an anti-slip coating on them, so you're not going to go spinning off the end of them. You don't come down at 200 miles an hour, you just gently come down the slide.
And not only have the lads got the job done on time, they've done it without getting wet, which makes a change.
Lovely days. Better being dry than wet.
Skillfully removed from the plane, the evacuation slide will now be logged in by logistics and crated up for shipping to Estonia. Find out later what happens to it. Ever wondered what happens when the toilets need to be emptied on an aeroplane? Well, you're about to find out.
We've just come out to the 747. We're going to start the tear down on Monday. So I'm just going to make a start, and one of the worst parts of it is I've got to empty the waste tank. So I'm going to empty it first now, and then I'm going to get a little disinfecting water and we'll flush it down every lav on the aircraft, and then whoever does the tank will have nice pine fresh smell instead of the horrible smells. But best as we can do anyway. We've got our waste container here with a proper adapter that we plug onto the valve at the top there, open the valve, flip a lever and stand back. And just hope you've got the pipe on properly. That's a good start. The main thing is don't look up and don't keep your mouth open. You can imagine the morning after you've had a good curry, yeah? We'll times that by 10. That's how bad they are. Or going past the local sewage works on a hot day. So there's been a couple that have come in here now. Oh, it's like, not good, not good. Oh, that's not good. They didn't empty after its last flight. They've sent that all the way down from Heathrow to us. It's not good. I smell better farms than that. There's a lot of toilets on here. I haven't been through and counted them, because they've got the top deck, lower deck. I might have to go and get another bucket. It's definitely a job. Somebody has to do it. Unfortunately, today it's me. So I'm just going to leave that on there for now, and I'm going to go and get loads of buckets of water and get ready to flush them through.
Down in the yard, the Jumbo's engines have already been removed and are ready to be shipped back to the airline that owns them.
We're going to be loading some engines onto the back of some lorries. We've got possibly one engine per lorry at the moment, although we find out more when we talk more to the driver.
The transportation of the engines has been days in the planning, and weighing in at 6 tons each, they need careful handling.
These particular engines are RB211s, come off a Jumbo, so you've got to watch yourself and obviously the engine you're loading. Keep your wits about you and concentrate is the thing.
It's a massive undertaking. This very precious cargo could be worth up to $15 million. But there's a forking problem.
We've got particular issues with the stands on these ones because the pockets, the holes on the side of the stands aren't quite big enough for this particular fork.
But nothing a bit of lateral thinking can't solve.
We've got a sort of procedure that we use using blocks of wood. It's pretty well-used procedure, so we know what we're doing.
You let me know you're going with the pin. Keep talking to me all the way through, OK?
Stop there a bit, please. If you're shifting a jumbo jet engine, it can be a bit nerve-wracking, but that helps, you know, to keep you on your toes, make sure everything runs smoothly.
Yeah, stop there. OK, I got the weight. Yeah, stop there. OK, I'm moving forward.
Here she comes, and she's the size of a bus. Easy does it, lads. With a maximum thrust of more than 60,000 pounds each, the Rolls-Royce RB211 series engines have powered many different Boeing planes. And in the world of engineering, they're almost as iconic as the Jumbo itself.
Keep an eye on the doors for me. Yeah. My vision's not brilliant from here with this.
The engine's on the move, but the sloping ground leading out of the hangar means Dave has to use all of his skill to compensate for that crafty angle by bringing the engine higher so it will reach the flatbed.
Whilst we're lifting the engine, the slope you're on sort of alters the pitch of the fork, so it makes it a little bit tricky. I prefer to load on a level surface.
But as the forklift rises above the flatbed, Dave gets dazzled by another problem hitting him in the face: the sunshine.
Now the sun's blinding me really hard because we're on a slope. Cam, let me know when I'm down because I can't actually see where it's
Go on. Down more, Dave. There you are, back now.
Right, back there.
There were a few tense moments there, but Dave's skills saved the day.
Well, we've had better because of the slope coming out of the hangar. It was difficult to keep the forks in position without putting the handbrake on. But hey, it's on there, it's loaded, so they're happy.
Sam's flushing the bogs of the 747 today. I've wriggled out of it. I've got myself assigned to something else, so I'm quite chuffed about that. Good luck, Sam.
Pine disinfectant. Just to flush the pipes through a bit. That's beautiful.
It's a dirty job, but it's got to be done, because it means the tear-down gang can go to work without fear of the plane's old toilets kicking up a stink.
There's a few trips back and forwards with buckets of water and that to get them all flushed through. We'll be busy for the next hour or so just doing this, I think.
Sam's plugged the Jenny in so he can fire up the sewage pump system to allow him to get those smelly waters flowing.
So hopefully now, press this, we should get power. That's good. That's really all we need to do in the flight deck. So now we're just going to see, well, we'll count up how many bogs there are on the aircraft.
And being a Jumbo, there's a lot of toilets to empty.
There's one here, there's one for the flight deck.
Sam's full of useful tidbits today. Using a loo on a plane will never be the same again.
The bowl itself is coated with Teflon, so nothing should stick to it. We did one of these once, me and Glenn. We ended up like a foam party in the lab. All the disinfectant just foamed up. That's better. I'll give that 5 minutes, I would, before we go in there. So we have 3 upstairs. Let me see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Toilet after toilet after toilet. It's hard to keep count.
9, 10.
But there's one advantage of doing a job that no one else wants to do. You get left alone.
It's nice to be out on your own for a while, you know, sometimes. 11, 12, 13, 14. God.
Eventually, the lure of the little boy's room proves too much for Sam.
OK, so I've done this one now. Give me another 5 minutes and I'll be back out.
While Sam is otherwise disposed, our fabulous cabin crew reminisce about the toilet troubles they had to tolerate at 30,000 feet.
When they introduced this aeroplane, the loo situation was actually much better than the previous one on the older jumbos.
Even though the toilets may be the least glamorous part of a plane, ones with a vacuum flush were a huge improvement on the chemical lavatories of old. They could lead to a very nasty spill during turbulence.
Do you remember the old flaps on the old ones?
Yeah.
Getting on that old classic, I'd say Bahrain on its last leg from Australia, the smell used to knock you over, didn't it?
And of course, the toilets towards the end of a flight would get very dirty and very wet on the floor, so I would never recommend anyone to go around barefoot on board an aircraft.
All the way over in Estonia, delivery has been taken of some shipments from E-Cube in Wales. As a company, Magnetic MRO refurbish and certify a multitude of different aircraft parts, including evacuation slides.
Customers send us in these slides in boxes when the maintenance interval is due.
Vilyak is about to demonstrate the series of rigorous tests applied to the slides.
They are pieces of art, actually, because as you can see, this one, it's really small at the moment, but it gets huge. When it's huge, it's dangling off the aircraft, and it also can be applied as a life raft. This specific one has a capacity up to 90 people.
And looking at that suitcase-sized bundle, it's hard to believe it inflates to an almost 70-foot-long slide.
This is the gas reservoir. It has nitrogen and CO2 in it at over 3,000 psi. It is pretty explosive.
Now it's time for the fun bit. The slide's about to get blown up. And what's the verdict? A big thumbs up from Vilyak.
So what was the time?
Time was 4 seconds.
4.49. Yeah. That's good, that's good.
An emergency slide should fully inflate in under 10 seconds. This one passes with flying colours. But this is just one of the many quality control checks to be performed on it.
What we're looking for is structural degradations. So every place we can see if there is like lift or some broken seams, we have to fix them. Here we can see there are none. Also fabric has to be intact.
The hope is, of course, that this is all just a safety precaution that will never be needed.
Rarely there are accidents that require these slides to be deployed, but those are 1 in a million chances. It will almost never happen, and hopefully none of you have to go through this.
Watch out, boys, there she blows! Over in Wales, the day of destruction has dawned for the Jumbo. Because of her sheer size, she's going to be taken apart in stages.
Most of the parts now that the people require have been removed from the aircraft. The wings are now being removed to make it easier to continue the teardown.
With the Jumbo in position, the wrecking team, led by Chicken, move in to remove her wings.
Drive full steam ahead, sir. See if you can take it off in like 4 or 5 metre sections or something for now. Because the wings are so huge, I don't think I would be too happy in taking a full wing off one side. There'd be quite a lot of pressure on the landing gears, so we tend to take them off in halves. Yeah, I think it's just safer that way.
With no time to waste, the crusher tucks in, making a right old meal of the wing.
It's going to make a mess. Sam's not going to be happy. We'll clean it up after us.
This is going to be really loud when it falls.
Ever conscious of safety, a 20-metre cordon has been placed around the plane, as the falling wing could represent a real danger. But so far, everything's going to plan.
Yeah, it went all right. There wasn't too much rocking about with the wheels and that. All right.
With one wing gone, there's no time to congratulate. It's on to the next one.
Go on, son!
Chicken is clearly a man who enjoys the art of destruction.
In a previous life, I used to fix the 747s, so it's nice to chop them off.
But as the machine eats through the metal, a potentially hazardous problem emerges: a leaking fuel line.
We got a sprayer.
It's not unusual to get small amounts of fuel trapped in the pipes by air.
It's just residual fuel in the pipework. The tanks have been vented, the tanks have been drained, but you've always got to have a small amount of fuel left. We're armed up with plenty of fire extinguishers dotted about, so we've never had an issue in the past, and I hope that we won't have one in the future. We've got to react quickly to try and catch as much as we can, so we're just going to give it a couple of minutes just to drain into the drip tray, and then we'll carry on.
No smoking area, so we're all right.
Just stop making a mess. Go on then, carry on.
Once Chicken is satisfied the small amount of fuel is drained out, he indicates it's safe to proceed.
With the 7.4s, when you are cutting them, they're very thick. The skin, the frames, the stringers, all the structure involved is almost 3 or 4 times thicker, I would say, than the smaller narrow-body aircraft.
They continue to tear the Jumbo's wings to pieces. Job done.
It's next to nothing for us to do.
I'll tell you what, I did a lovely job there.
Within less than an hour, the Jumbo is just one big wing-clipped bird.
One minor fire is full.
There are tons of twisted metal deposited on the ground, which now need to be swept up and sent to the scrapyard for sorting and smelting. But the lads seem best pleased with their work.
Cracking job, so we can all sweep up, clean all the stuff up.
And with the big tools downed, Chicken and Perry inspect their handiwork.
It's a tight cut on that, bud.
Yeah, tell you what, bud.
Real nice.
And what exactly are the scores on the door?
That's all good. No, a 5 out of 5, 5 out of 10.
Modest as ever. The 747 may look like a sorry sight, but it's worth remembering it's not really the end for the plane, because she does have an afterlife, at least her parts do, helping to keep other Jumbos flying all across the world.
Yeah, she looks a bit sad with her wings off, but with the wonders of recycling, she'll live to fly another day. So a happy ending, really.